Good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode number 59 of the Project 2020 show. If you're looking for color today, we have color, and not only in this shirt, but in the Derek Jeter by JK5, a color explosion and continued progression from JK5. We also have Grotesque releasing his Ted Williams, and yesterday we found out the first print runs. I hit a home run, and I also swung out and fell on my knees. Let's talk about all that and much more in 1 second. Welcome back to my channel, and hopefully you're ready for another expensive day in Project 2020. Another two great card pairing when it comes to the JK5 and the Grotesque. We also have F. dropping his Cal Ripken tomorrow. So it's just another expensive week in Project 2020. But first, my name is Chris. I can be reached on Twitter and Instagram at CRT_Sportscards. And the website you want to visit for all of your Project 2020 news and notes is CRTSportscards.com. Just go to the menu, drop down to Project 2020, and it's everything you need. But what are we going to talk about today? We're going to touch on companion cards. Also, we're going to touch on the fact that when it comes to my projections for print runs, what I do not like to do, and I think it's irresponsible, is to forecast outliers. And what we had yesterday with the Nolan Ryan was an outlier performance. We're also going to touch on Mike Trout and Ricky Henderson. Their buying windows in a couple of hours. So hopefully you have picked up your Natural and your Ermsey. So Nolan Ryan yesterday becomes now the lowest printed card on a player that had over 100 reservations after 48 hours. 105 reserves, a print run of just 41.46, an eBay penetration of 2.5%. That is an astronomically high eBay penetration right now in Project 2020. So you can see people did not buy this card. They bought the card on eBay and they bought it up over 100 pre-orders, but they did not go to Topps.com to purchase that card. This was a very, very surprising result for me. I felt 6.25 was very, very high, but as I spoke about, and when we talked about the first pre-orders, that was based on an eBay penetration of his historical performance here recently. And so I felt good with that number. I felt if everything performs as it should, it'll get to 6.25, regardless of what happened before with other cards. The Ermsey Gwynn, that was under 6.25. I just felt Nolan Ryan plus New York, the Sophia Chang fan base would drive this card up, and actually did not. So 4.1 thousand, a shockingly low number in my opinion for Nolan Ryan. And then on the Willie Mays, Joshua Vides, 3.6 thousand, right in the center of my range. I said 3.25 to 3.99, and I thought it'd come in right about 3.5. It wouldn't be the new floor, and it came in right there. So I'm very happy to see that I hit the number on the low print run, and the high one I missed, but that was over a 2,000 miss, and it's very surprising to see me miss by that much. But we're going to go back to the drawing board. We're going to have to figure this out, and we've got two very difficult cards to project here in a little bit with the Derek Jeter and the Ichiro from yesterday's cards. Now, before we talk about those cards and where I think they're going to land tomorrow morning, what's going to happen in a couple of hours is the ending time for Mike Trout and Ricky Henderson. So where did those cards come out on a pre-order perspective after 48 hours? I had a target on the Mike Trout of 230 and Ricky Henderson of 130. Both of them came in +6 to my projection. So Mike Trout came in at 236 and Ricky Henderson came in at 136. So very nice to see both those cards come within a very tight number around my original 48-hour eBay reservation number. On the print runs, I'm leaving them where they are. On the Mike Trout, 11,000 to 13, but not 13.1. I think this card right now is solidly in the 12,000 range. I can't see any way this card gets over 13 or it does under 11, but I really, really like right now that 12,000 range. I'm very confident in this card. And then on the Ricky Henderson, when you think of the Ermsey performance of the Tony Gwynn, which came in at 5.5, and you think of Ricky Henderson, how he's doing right now, and just the overall energy of Ermsey, I like still 6.5 to 7.5. 7.5 seems like a lot, but I think this card can get over 6.5. Ricky Henderson selling 1,000 more than Tony Gwynn right now, to me, does not seem that difficult. But we'll find out here in a couple of hours. As I say all the time, I'm 50% wrong and I'm 50% right. Yesterday has 50%. If there's a print run, I'm going to get wrong here. We'll find out. It might be the Ricky Henderson. And so while those two cards are just about to come out of the oven, hopefully at the right temperature within my ranges, the two cards we're about to put into the oven are going to be the Ted Williams and the Derek Jeter. My second favorite card is actually the Ted Williams by Grotesque. And I just think at the end of the day, look, I'm a Grotesque fan, you guys know that, but I have to look at these cards objectively. And when you think of JK5's progression, this card by Jeter is just amazing. We'll get to that here in a second. But let's take a look at that Ted Williams. And here again, although it's not the eagle or the creature, we have two guys with Red Sox on holding up the image of Ted Williams. I think it's a very, very nice design, and it goes along very nicely with the Ichiro from a few weeks ago. But let's take a look at Grotesque and Ted Williams overall. This is Grotesque's 9th card in Project 2020. We just saw him recently with the Ichiro, and before that, it was the Nolan Ryan. The key to his cards is once you see the eagle or the creature holding up the image, it's really hard to unsee on his cards and really add a dimension and depth, which I really, really like. But the other interesting point here with Grotesque is on a print run perspective. His highest print run is Dwight Gooden at 8,854. Dwight Gooden has typically the lowest print runs, but for Grotesque, he has the highest print run. And then his lowest printed card is Bob Gibson at 1,205. Now this is Ted Williams' 9th card in Project 2020. We saw him most recently with the Andrew Thiel, and then before that it was the Don C version. The interesting part about Ted Williams is he does have that Old Man Allen at 41,407, but that is his only card over 10,000 printed. His Tyson Beck is second at 9,507, so there's a massive gap when it comes to his first and second card. And then his lowest printed card is the Fucci at just 1,131. And if you were curious, yes, I have started my Ted Williams collection. I have all of the cards incoming except for two, which are going to be the Don C and the Andrew Thiel cards. I am waiting for those to show up in our mailboxes, I guess in like 6 weeks or maybe a week, who knows what tops right now at the moment. But now when it comes to my favorite Grotesque and my favorite Ted Williams cards, I'm going to play home field advantage here, and I'm going to go with the Ichiro for right now. They're all fantastic cards. I really like the Bob Gibson. I think that's my second favorite Grotesque at the moment. But right now, I'm going to go with the Ichiro. And then on Ted Williams, I'm blaming Tyson Beck for me going back to pick up all of the Ted Williams, just because once I saw this card, I'm like, I have to collect Ted Williams. And then I really like the Ermsey and the other cards. And so right now on Ted Williams, it is definitely that Tyson Beck. But I'm curious, in the comments below, what are your favorite Grotesque and what are your favorite Ted Williams cards at this moment? Hopefully you're liking the video so far, and if you're a new fan to Project 2020 or trying to figure out what this is all about, please hit that subscribe button, because I put out a video 6 out of the 7 days of the week, and it's the best way for you to stay informed around Project 2020. Now, while we have always focused on this show around the actual Project 2020 cards, we have never really touched on companion cards. And companion cards are something that I've been asked by a couple of you to cover. And so this is going to be sort of an introductory to companion cards. I'm not going to get too in-depth on the resellability of these and what they're selling for, but I think it's important to cover what they are, because right now, as of last night, Natural still had his Mike Trout companion cards. Ermsey just released his Bob Gibson companion card, and then Andrew Thiel is releasing his, I think, 3rd or 4th companion card. Here's the biggest challenge with companion cards. Now, these are, of course, artist cards. They're printing them. They have no relationship with Topps. They are just sort of a companion to the actual card. For example, here is the Ted Williams Ermsey card, which I have. Now, there are a couple of things to keep in mind on these companion cards. And number one, just a small one, they're not the same thickness as the actual Project 2020 cards. They're just normal paper stock, but that's a minor feature of the cards. But number one, these cards are expensive when you think of an artist releasing 20 of them. Typically, an artist companion card is $90. I think the Sophia Chang Mike Trout was a little bit less, but like the Natural, the Ermsey cards, they're all $90. And I don't know what Andrew Thiel's cards are going to be, but we're seeing typically right around $90. And so when you go 90, and if an artist has 20, you're talking $2,000 on just companion cards, which are only supporting the artist, which is perfectly fine. If you're a fan of the artist and you want to support the artist, that is what you should do. Go buy this card. Like I bought that F. Dot t-shirt to support F. Dot. I bought the Ermsey Ted Williams. I bought the Natural Mike Trout companion card. That's because I would like to support the artist directly, and I have no problem doing that. And the second part here, and this is where it gets tricky, and this is where I was really behind the ball on companion cards. You have to go to every individual artist website to get signed up for their emails and their alerts. Sometimes there are codes for their website to get on there to buy these cards. It is very tricky. It is very cumbersome. I'm trying to share as much of it as I can on Twitter. You know, on my website now I have the companion gallery, but that's only going to be cards linked to eBay, just because I think these cards sell out so quickly on the website. I'm not going to link there because it could be a dead link in a couple of days. But if you are a fan of an artist and you want to support the artist directly, I would recommend picking up these companion cards. But think of them strictly from the perspective of supporting the artist. I would not think of these as a flip game. Yes, I could sell the Ermsey right now for like 130, 140 bucks and make an extra 20, 30 bucks. But I don't really think it's worth it. I want this card to go with my Ted Williams card. And so we'll touch back on this in the coming weeks. We will see what the resale value ends up being on these cards. But just for now, take a look at the website, take a look at some of the images. If you have a couple artists you like, go to their website, sign up for their emails so that you can possibly purchase a companion card in the future to go with your actual set. But now, let's take a look at my favorite card of the day. And this is just an incredible evolution of JK5 when you think back to his first couple of cards and then his recent Bob Gibson. But this is now the 1392 draft pick, Derek Jeter, Derek JK5er. I think it's just a fantastic card overall. And I really recommend, I linked it a couple times on Twitter yesterday, take a look at JK5's 2-minute video explaining the card. I think it was just a very, very well done video explaining his thought process and his history and why the card is what it is. But let's take a look at JK5 and Derek Jeter real quick. This is JK5's 9th card, also in the set, a running theme today, 9th cards. We saw him most recently with the Bob Gibson, and then before that, the Mike Trout. Now his highest printed card is card 91 right after the bubble, with that Mariano Rivera at 35,330, and then his lowest printed card is Ted Williams at just 1,385. Now this is Derek Jeter's 9th card in this set. We saw him most recently with the F dot, and before that it was the Ben Baller necklace card. But now from a print run perspective, his Ben Baller is his highest printed card. It's the 4th highest printed card in the set at 64,088. And then his lowest printed card is Grotesque at just 6,511. And so when it comes to my favorite JK5 and Derek Jeter card on JK5, it actually is this Derek Jeter. I continue to be really impressed with his color work and the evolution of his cards altogether. I really like this Derek Jeter. I can only imagine what his card 19 and 18 or 20 are going to look like in this set. I can only hope his last card is Ken Griffey. And then on Derek Jeter, it is going to be the F dot Derek Jeter. I really like that card. The Grotesque is very simple in the Jeter collection, but I really, really like the F dot Derek Jeter at the moment. And speaking of Ken Griffey and Andrew Thiel, here is a collector highlight from Brian McClurg, and thank you, Brian, for sending this over. This is an entire Griffey collection, including the famous bubble card and the actual rookie card there at the edge, and then the 5 Andrew Thiel cards that are out so far. So thank you for this, and if you do want to get your collection highlighted on the show, send me a message on Twitter or Instagram, or email me at chris@crtsportscards.com. So the Wednesday cards, where did they come out after 24 hours on pre-orders? We had the Ichiro Blake Jamieson, and we had the Don Mattingly by Ben Baller. I will say, some surprisingly low pre-order numbers, but I don't think that tells the entire story of these cards. And now when you look at Blake Jamieson's Ichiro after 24 hours, just 42 pre-orders after one single day. But I think people are hedging here on this card. And we know a couple of things. We know Blake is going to buy a lot of these cards for autographs and sell on the website. So maybe the fans are waiting to purchase this card signed in the coming months. But it's very, very surprising to see this card be this slow after 24 hours. But I don't think that's going to affect the total print run. This card's still going to sell quite a bit. So for me, on the Ichiro by Blake, I'm looking at 6.5 to 8, but not 8.1. I really like this card in the 7,000 range when you think back to where his Willie Mays did just a few weeks ago. And now taking a look at the Don Mattingly by Ben Baller. After 24 hours, he has just 79 pre-orders, which is actually 2 less than the Ermsey by Ricky Williams. That's funny. That's 2 less than the Ricky Henderson by Ermsey, and actually just a few more than the Nolan Ryan by Sophia Chang. But here again, this does not tell the entire story. And we all know that these cards are the hardest to project in a sense because the fan base is coming from outside the hobby. And by the way, I do not believe for 1 second his numbers out there saying, I'm only going to do 8.5. He is trying to sandbag us, and I think he's trying to pull the wool over us. So on this Don Mattingly, when you factor in 48-hour pre-orders and his numbers all together, I'm looking at 10.25 thousand to 12.99. That is a large number, and that's in line with the Mariano from last week or 2 weeks ago. But I just don't see how this card gets anywhere near 1.5, 1.6 eBay penetration. I think we're looking at 1% or lower, and this card's going to print high. And there again, it talks about the fact that we are collecting these. We are not flipping these. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want more news and notes from me around week 18 in Project 2020, please check out that playlist on the screen right now.